Next on the 5 o'clock report.
You're a very smart guy. This is a very dumb thing to do.
They don't want peace. They want a piece of you, but they don't want peace.
We don't know how our 25-foot didn't flip. All I can say is God was on our side.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
A trade war and a war of words. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Mark Webster. We'll get to that in a moment. But weather also is making news in our area this day with today's big warm-up and some significant rainfall in the forecast. A flood watch is posted for a big swath of upstate New York from Buffalo all the way up to Watertown until Thursday. WGRZ meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis in Buffalo on the more vulnerable areas that need to pay close attention to this.
Low-lying areas prone to that, and also some ice jam flood concerns on our area, rivers, creeks, and streams.
Our Kevin Williams is watching the weather all across the Family Life listening area. His forecast is just ahead. Now to our other top story. Some say it's a full-fledged trade war between the U.S. and trading partners Canada, Mexico, and China. However you label today's start of strong new tariffs on those countries, Wall Street certainly took notice with a big sell-off starting from the opening bell. There was some recovery. We'll have the closing numbers for you later in the news. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says the U.S. is just tired of being taken advantage of.
Canada and Mexico had an invitation to trade with the amazing economy of the United States of America, and they have abused that invitation.
The tariffs were met with heavy criticism from the leaders of those three countries, including this gem from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
It's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
Trudeau says Trump's tariffs are playing right into the hands of our nation's mutual enemies. The tariffs amount to about 25% on Canada and Mexico, a lesser amount on China. One big area you might see impact in is in car and truck prices.
65,000 vehicles are built in North America every day, about a quarter of them in Mexico, 8% in Canada. Parts also flow freely across the border. Tariffs that last more than a few weeks could cause vehicle production to be impacted and prices to go up.
That's WWJ's Jeff Gilbert in Detroit. Expect to hear plenty of talk about trade tonight as President Trump delivers an address to Congress this evening. U.S. relations with Ukraine will also be in play. After last week's White House dressing down of Ukraine's president, he offered up a conciliatory message online today, and there are numerous reports that a U.S. rare minerals deal that wasn't signed last week will be signed soon. CBS asked this top advisor to Ukraine's President Zelensky whether they can go it alone against Russia without U.S. support.
What I can say for sure is that Ukraine will still fight. But I will ask you a question. Would the U.S. be okay to stay on the sidelines when we need to stop Russian aggression? And what does Russia want to do? It wants to destroy the world that was built by previous American administrations.
This U.S. aid worker in Ukraine says Trump's overtures to Russia's president are sending the wrong message.
We're not helping anyone with peace with Russia. There's no such thing. They don't want peace. They want a piece of you, but they don't want peace.
There are reports that Trump will announce that minerals deal with Ukraine during his address to Congress tonight. That starts at 9 p.m. A House hearing today on the state of America's air traffic control system.
We're 3,600 certified professional controllers short today. You cannot hire 3,600 people to go in and start working in a facility. It takes years of training.
Adds Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
4 or 5 months to get through the academy, and then it's 1, 2, 3 years to get trained up in a tower. But the key is it can take up to 2 years before you get approval to go to the academy. And a lot of young people, they'll find a new job or a new career in that period of 2 years. And so what we're doing is streamlining the process.
Duffy also tells Fox News there seems to be rare bipartisan congressional support to fund long overdue technological upgrades to air traffic control facilities, including new radio systems, upgraded radars, and replacing copper lines with fiber optics. Meantime, Southwest Airlines planning to close a couple of its crew bases in a cost-cutting move.
According to a memo from its flight attendants union, the closures involve crew bases at Florida's Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport and Austin Bergstrom International in Texas. The memo said the closures will take effect on July 1st. Dallas-based Southwest has been slashing unprofitable routes and trimming corporate staff as part of its first-ever mass layoffs. I'm at Mattinson.
From Southwest to the Southeast, where severe weather was a problem today, especially Texas.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott activated the state's emergency response teams in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That means assessing damage and cleaning up. At the height of the storms, nearly 400,000 left without power. Roofs ripped off schools and warehouses. Somehow this man's RV survived winds nearly the equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane.
We're lucky. We don't know how our 25-foot didn't flip. All I can say is God was on our side.
Reporter Chris Fox there. Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz.
We're tracking a line of storms that are going to impact a large swath of the southeast. All of those storms, basically severe warned thunderstorms. We've seen isolated tornadoes spin up with this as well. That's going to continue to be a risk.
And some of those strong storms could clip our area come tomorrow. South Carolina forestry officials say a wildfire near Myrtle Beach is now 30% contained, though it'll likely be several more days before the Carolina forest wildfire is fully contained. Evacuation orders for the area have been lifted. An investigation still going on into what sparked that fire. They do believe it was human caused. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, corrections officers rally in Albany. Some Pennsylvania prisons may be closing. And have you had a punchki today?
Rain is ahead, a good dose of dampness. In fact, there'll be enough rain combined with recent current snowmelt and frozen ground to generate some flooding concerns later Wednesday and Wednesday night. Watch areas near creeks, streams, and rivers as well. Temperatures steady or rising slightly overnight. It's a mild day Wednesday with high temperatures in the 50s to near 60. Then on Thursday, blustery turning colder again. Rain showers, then snow showers. Temperatures on Thursday start in many cases near or above 40, but then drop into the 20s.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Now checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. First to Albany, taking their message to the top.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Hold the line!
Hundreds of corrections officers descended on New York's Capitol today to drive home their demands to the governor and lawmakers as their strike enters a third week, even as the state continues terminating them for violating the state's Taylor law by striking. In Albany, this guard told Spectrum News,
"The biggest thing is hope. It's not about the money. Indirectly, it's about the money because you have people that do not want this job. So you have to think of other things, increase in pay, increase in, pay grade, the salary, the overtime."
Among corrections officers' demands, repeal of that HALT Act, which took away solitary confinement as a disciplinary tool against unruly inmates. Some guards have returned to work, but others at more than 24 state facilities continued striking. 11 guards are on leave after the death of a 22-year-old inmate at a prison near Utica. That facility is just a few hundred yards from another prison where 43-year-old Robert Brooks was beaten to death by guards back in December. Pennsylvania politicians are weighing in on the impact of possibly shutting down several prisons across the Commonwealth, some in our listening area. Republican Representative Charity Grimm-Krupa had the question for the head of corrections yesterday.
Do you have any concerns that by placing more inmates in fewer facilities, this will increase levels of violence and jeopardize the safety of the staff and the inmates?
The director of corrections, Laurel Harry, insists closing prisons has led to fewer assaults on inmates and staff. Nonsense, says John Eckenrode. He's president of the Pennsylvania Prison Guards Union.
And I heard one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard when she said that closing prisons make it safer for staff.
The state says closing the prisons will save PA $120 million over the next couple of years. Several lawmakers say they're less concerned about saving money than they are about Pennsylvania's recidivism rate. According to the Department of Corrections, 2 out of 3 inmates tend to re-offend. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro stopping by an elementary school yesterday in the Lehigh Valley to address Pennsylvania's teacher shortage problem.
Right now in Pennsylvania, we have 5,500 teacher vacancies all across our Commonwealth. That's in large measure due to the fact that fewer people are choosing to go into teaching.
Shapiro wants to increase stipends for student teachers. He says financial hardship is keeping too many prospective educators out of the classroom. A case of measles confirmed in an unvaccinated child in PA.
It's very dangerous because it can produce very severe disease like pneumonia that can be fatal, especially in young children. It can also, in a very small proportion of cases, cause encephalitis or swelling of the brain.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Scott Weaver.
It can spread and cause a big outbreak very quickly and explosively unless people are vaccinated to protect them from infection and becoming a spreader of the virus.
94% of Pennsylvania residents are vaccinated against the measles, which was thought to be eradicated just a quarter century ago. On today's edition of Hometown Heroes during the Noon Report, we heard more from Northwest Pennsylvania farmer Brittany Eisenman. She's organized over 100 shipments of badly needed hay to North Carolina Carolina farmers and Tennessee farmers as well, impacted by Hurricane Helene. She tells Family Life News the effort has been one big God story.
The stories that we could tell about what folks have endured, what the farming community has endured in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee is heartbreaking. But with every load that we send, we know that the Lord is sending them hope. Our prayer is not that they see us at all, but that they see the love and the light of Jesus through every load that they receive.
While leading the effort has been a lot of work, she says it's blessed those families quite a bit, but maybe blessed her own family even more.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an incredible project, an incredible opportunity for my husband and I. It has blessed us in so many ways, but just to be obedient in the Lord, learning that daily. And the other lesson he has taught us time and time again is to trust, just growing in a deeper level of trust in him.
You can hear parts 1 and 2 of our interview with Brittany Eisenman in their entirety by visiting the news podcast page at familylife.org or checking out the podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Well, today is Mardi Gras, a.k.a. Shrove Tuesday or Fat Tuesday. In Western New York, it's all about the punchkis. That's a Polish pastry that's deep fried and filled with jam or cream.
Personally, it's my favorite day of the year. I think what's so special about it really is just the tradition that everybody kind of gets behind and believes in. As an Irish girl from South Buffalo, I did not grow up behind punchki, but I am here for it now, and I will never stop celebrating it.
Marge McMahon runs a punchki making operation in downtown Buffalo.
In Poland, they were always trying to get rid of the temptations that were in their house before the Lenten season started. So they were looking for different ways to get rid of those delicious ingredients, right? So butter, sugar, eggs, things of that sort.
She tells News Talk 930 that punchkis date back to the 1700s when Polish Roman Catholics would clear their cupboards of decadent ingredients, which were forbidden during the upcoming days of Lent. All right, your nightly market report is next, brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street closed sharply lower after a very volatile day of trading. Fears of an escalating trade war rattled markets, with Canada, China, and Mexico all announcing plans for retaliatory tariffs against U.S. goods. Gains, NVIDIA and Alphabet helped the tech-savvy NASDAQ nearly recover after a 2% slide. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 670 points to 42,520. The S&P 500 fell 71 points to 5778. The NASDAQ lost 65 points to 18,285. Faithward Advisors, a Christian financial planning firm helping faithful stewards do more. Details are available at faithwardadvisors.com. This is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
We lead a pretty comfortable life in the U.S. That's the good news. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. The bad news is we're so complacent that we rarely question the price before buying something. We've forgotten how to haggle, which folks in other countries do all the time. Negotiating prices is not dishonest or unbiblical. It's good stewardship. As long as the seller has the freedom to say no, there's nothing wrong with trying to get a better deal. Places where you may be able to negotiate include your phone and cable providers, your gym, and even with some medical providers. Just ask the seller, is that the best you can do? One thing's for sure, you won't get a better deal if you don't ask. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
All right, coming up on the 5 o'clock report, you've heard of the cat in the hat, but have you heard about the cat in the sofa?
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We've got some active weather ahead as the storm moves through the upper Great Lakes. In our area, rain and wind will be the story as we progress to your Wednesday. For the night tonight, clouding up where it's not already cloudy. Some rain reaches western Pennsylvania, western New York overnight as it turns quite breezy. Low temperatures dip to just below 40, then rise a bit toward daybreak. Tomorrow, cloudy, windy, mild rain. Rain combined with recent snowmelt and frozen ground could lead to some localized flooding later in the day and at night. High temperatures in the 50s to near 60.
All right, thank you very much, Kevin. Finally at 5, the remarkable story of Sunny Lou, a family cat that defied the odds. When the Hansen family moved from Washington State to Colorado, their cat Sunny Lou had gone missing. With no time left to search, they grieved their loss. Well, 3 weeks and 1,000 miles later, movers showed up and started unloading their furniture.
They brought in our hide-a-bed sofa and started to unwrap it.
I heard him meow. I ran to the garage. Randy was, come in, you gotta check the couch. And so I think it might be our kitty.
What?
Oh, praise God.
Yep, hidden in the hideaway, Sonny Lou, who somehow survived 3 weeks without food or water. How? Don't ask their vet.
Medically, I don't have an answer as far as how this cat survived that ordeal. It's really remarkable. I think we don't always get an explanation. He is a miracle cat.
Hey, miracles defy explanation. That's the world we live in for Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. Thank you again for joining us. I'm Mark Webster, Family Life News.